A pat on the back, a rub of the arm. These are incidental, everyday gestures that we tend to take for granted. But could they mean more for us in the dental practice?
At the Dental MVP, we use science to teach people skills to you, the dental professionals. Do not forget to subscribe to our channel, the Dental MVP, and don't forget to hit the bell so you never miss out.
If you found a coin on the ground, would you give it to a person who approached you and said that it was theirs? Would it make a difference if when they made the request, they touched your arm?
You would think not, right? When this experiment was actually conducted, 23% of the individuals who were just approached and said, hey, that's my coin, were willing to say, yes, here you go, you can have it. And it shot up to 68% with a mere touch. What's that show us? Well, human touch is magical, and it can really make a difference and create that human connection.
Touch is a powerful force, so even a momentary touch can create a bond. Why is this important to us in the dental practice? A mere 1/40th of a touch, which will give you some safe touch techniques in this video, helps people to feel more comfortable, to feel safer, have a sense of belonging, and to perceive whomever it is that touched them as being friendlier.
There are tons of really fun studies that psychologists have conducted when it comes to physical touch and what it can do to the human brain and with connections. A blind study guessed if individuals could actually understand what emotion someone is feeling just based off of the touch alone. So imagine having your eyes covered and someone is touching you. Can you really guess what their emotion is? Guess what? 60% of the time, individuals could always guess compassion. And that is probably one of the most important emotions for us as healthcare providers to be able to provide to our patients. So physical touch can really give that compassion to our patients.
In a fun study conducted in the 1960s, a psychologist traveled the world for the purpose of watching friends interact. In each situation, they observed two friends interacting in a cafe. And what they noticed is that the variations of the amount of times that people touched was dramatically different depending on the area they were in.
The results are really fun. In England, they touched 0 times. No touch in England. In the US, it shot up to about 2 times of touch. In France, it jolted up to 110, and in Puerto Rico, it went to 180. What a crazy difference between countries.
In the US, we had one of the lowest touching rates, and that is among close friends. So it's natural that as healthcare providers and as people in general, we're a little apprehensive when it comes to touching someone.
And touching their mouth does not count. That's not what we're talking about here.
We see it in the news all the time that someone was touched inappropriately or went to jail for something or was convicted of something. And so it makes us very hesitant. But this has eliminated our ability to let our patients know that we're compassionate about them and to ensure that they feel comfortable and confident with us. So in this video, we're going to give you 5 safe touching techniques.
Safe.
Safe keyword that you can use in the dental practice to ensure that your patients have that sense of compassion that you feel for them and feel safe and comfortable with you as a provider.
So safe touch number 1 is the common handshake. Now, you could really go wrong with a handshake, and I'm sure you didn't realize this, but there's a right way and a wrong way to have a handshake. And we have all had bad handshakes before. So please do not be guilty of the bad handshake. Let's walk you through it. First things first, making sure that our hands are vertical and doing an up and down shake. Now with this, we don't want to do an undershake, which means too quick, or an overshake where we're just shaking for a really long time.
Sneak away.
Yeah, they're trying to pull away from you.
And we're still shaking.
And we're still shaking. It's a long shake. Now you also don't want to do the dominating shake, which is where you turn someone's hand sideways and you're on top dominating them. Sometimes we do this. Watch out if you are. You do not want to be the dominating handshake. We want to be equals when we're giving a handshake. You also don't want the limp noodle shake, right? The very loose handshake. If your patients are doing it to you, that's fine, but make sure that you are not the one giving the limp noodle handshake.
So making sure hands are vertical, that you're applying an equal amount of pressure as the person that you're shaking hands with. The big thing is making eye contact. We are very guilty of trying to remember someone's name as we shake their hand and looking over our shoulders somewhere else. we have to make sure that the person that we're shaking hands with is at the forefront of our attention.
That's a big red flag. If I am shaking someone's hand for the first time and meeting them and they are not looking at you, your brain subconsciously will say that this person is not trustworthy and is hiding something from me. So make sure to take that extra effort to look them square in the eyes when you're giving them a handshake.
Now, as healthcare providers, we do wash our hands in between every patient and multiple times. Avoid giving the wet handshake. So if you just like put hand sanitizer on your hands and ran out to grab your patient and before it's dried, you're like, don't worry, it's safe. It's just hand sanitizer.
Yeah, if you have to say, oh, I'm sorry that my hands are wet, that ruins the entire handshake. You might as well just not do it at all if that's the case. Just say, I'm sorry, my hands are wet. I'm not going to shake your hands. Because honestly, it ruins that touch and you're not going to get that compassion and that stimulation of the brain where they feel more connected to you. Same thing goes for cold hands. If you touch someone's hands and they say, I'm sorry, my hands are cold, same thing happens. That cold connection is not a good, strong connection. So rub your hands, run them under hot water if you have to, warm them up before you give someone a handshake, because that warm hand hug, you can really feel the difference.
And I know that handshaking might be one of those things that you're not doing consistently or with every single patient. And when I first started practicing, I would have patients go to shake my hand and it was like an out of the ordinary thing. So it felt like it was like kind of weird. You're like, do I shake their hand? Do I not shake their hand? Like, is that even something that you do in the practice? Shaking hands has a huge impact on people's perceptions of you, on your level of confidence and your competence as well. So make sure if someone's extending for a handshake, give them a handshake, keep your hand vertical, same amount of pressure that they're applying. It is key for your relationships that you're building.
Safe touch number 2 is the shoulder touch. This is what it looks like. Very simple. You can always do this to a team member or a patient. Most commonly, it's going to be when the patient is seated and you might give them the shoulder touch, or it might be when you're guiding the patient. When do you use this usually?
So this is going to be used for compassion or for guidance. So if you are explaining something to someone, or you're just letting someone know that they're heard, if they have a concern with their teeth or something stressful is going on in the practice, it is okay to touch someone's shoulder. It's a safe zone to let them know, I'm here, I'm listening, I understand, or I'm here to help you.
And you may be already doing this and not realize it, but I want you to understand the importance of actually guiding your patients with that touch. So instead of just saying, hey, take a look at these x-rays, guide them to it and say, take a look at these x-rays with me. That guidance is going to create more of that human bond, that human connection, and it's going to allow your patient to be more involved and feel that compassion from you.
Safe touch tip number 3 is going to be the hand touch. Now, the hand touch is a very empathetic touch. This is great for those patients that are highly anxious when they're in the dental office. Now, we always had like a designated hand holder for the really anxious patients. So during getting an injection, they might really need someone to be there and hold their hand. That is a touch, if you're going to hold someone's hand, that you would ask permission for. It's not something that you just want to walk in and hold their hand.
Yes,
that can definitely be construed very awkward. So going in, letting them know that you're there for them and offering to hold their hand. You know, you could say, is it okay if I hold your hand just to help you through this part of the procedure? And they'll either say like, yes, please do that to distract me, or no, I'm okay. And either way is fine.
Watching body language is really important. You'll notice if they're starting to reach up towards you, or they're gripping things, or they just kind of naturally seem to be clutching things or reaching towards your arm or anything like that. Those are people who probably want that physical touch. So look for those cues and ask that individual, would you like to hold my hand instead? And that is going to allow them to still squeeze something, but also give them that more of that human connection and let them know that you really understand and that you're there for them. That hand touch, that light hand touch too, is just something that we'll do naturally when we're saying like, do you understand what I'm talking about? Or are you okay? Or I'm sorry that you feel this way. It really helps to create that connection. Now remember, just like in the study we talked about in the beginning, that mere connection right there, that 1/40th of a second of touch, can make a huge difference with that connection and the conversation you're having with your patient.
Another safe touch technique that you can use is a pat on the back.
Thank you.
Now, this would be just saying good job. It really is as simple as that. Now, we don't want to have it turn into a rub on the back.
No.
So we would emphasize a pat on the back.
Our last safe touch technique is the knee touch. And by touch, I mean a tap.
Now we know that this isn't her knee. We cast anatomy.
Please do not go around tapping your patient's elbows. We just don't have our knees exposed right now. So pretend this is a knee. And if this is your patient's knee, you would give them the knee tap. Not a knee rub, a knee tap. Now, this is another way of saying good job, giving them a little bit of compassion, like it's okay, you're going to be okay. Anything like that to help soothe and guide our patients.
So don't forget the fist bumps
Oh,
and
yeah.
the high fives.
Oh, yeah. And if your patient is going in for a hug,
Ooh.
do not be that person. Please do not do that. I know that we are afraid to give hugs and we're afraid to touch. The reality is that we just need to pay attention to what our patients are asking for. If they're anxious and they need some comforting, don't be afraid to use those safe touch techniques to help calm them and create more of that connection with them. If a patient is going in for a hug, they want a damn hug. Don't be afraid to give them a hug. Remember that just a mere 1/40th of a second of touch with your patient can create a huge difference in your patient's experience. So don't be afraid to use these safe touch techniques. And hopefully this is going to make a big difference in your patient's experience moving forward.
So we want to know, what safe touch techniques do you use in your practice regularly? How do they impact the way that you interact with your patients? Did you like this video? Make sure to like it and don't forget to subscribe and follow the Dental MVP so you never miss out.